G'day everyone, SGD here. Megatron, the illustrious Decepticon leader, or commander, he uses both titles. One of the most iconic Transformers characters of all time. But, like a few other iconic Decepticons of G1, Megatron's alt mode doesn't really work in current year. Well, it hasn't actually worked for the last 30 years, and when compared to the other Decepticons with the same issue, Megatron's is a little bit unique. So join me today as we dive through Megatron's alt modes. The problematic alt mode. Originally released in 1984, Megatron's first toy from Hasbro was a reissue of Takara's 1983 MC-13 Walther P-38 Uncle from Gun Robo, a subline of MicroChange, which in turn was a subline of Microman. Takara, on the other hand, would reissue their standard grey version of the MC Walther P-38 without the attachments as Megatron in 1985. Both toys would include new stickers reflecting the new Transformers IP. A realistic Walther P-38 that shot small plastic bullets and, ironically enough, a heroic character in MicroChange, the toy was, like pretty much all of MicroChange, a role-play toy. Much like the Real Gear robots of the 2007 film toy line, these toys are meant to be actual items in roughly 1-to-1 scale for children to play with that turn into robots that are also 1-to-1 scale. Yes, that includes the Minibot cars, as they are stylized after Penny Racer cars, and no, there is no mass size shifting in MicroChange. In their original forms, who would become Megatron, Soundwave, Perceptor, and Bumblebee are canonically as small as the actual real-world toys. This actually poses two problems for Megatron. The first being, he's a gun. A realistic gun that fires small bullets. This simply cannot be done anymore at mass retail and has been off-limits for over 30 years now. While Europe and Australia may have had legislation restricting toy guns that far back, as Megatron was not included in their 1990-1991 Classics line, America has had the infamous Orange Cap Law since 1992, where toy guns need prominent orange tips at the end of their barrels. However, Megatron has another issue regarding being a gun, one which likely influenced the team of the early 90s to change his alt mode to a tank for Generation 2. Megatron is a realistic gun. The reason that this is a possibility is that in 2002, Hasbro floated the idea of a purple and orange reissue of Generation 1 Megatron in their commemorative line, to which Toys R Us declined. The idea of a purple Megatron isn't too outlandish. He's been purple since the 90s, and so is Galvatron. This toy is actually in Galvatron's colours, but apparently it wasn't toyish enough for Toys R Us. If I were to hazard a guess, it's the scale and quality of the sculpt. Even in these colours, it's too realistic. If you were to bring up Classics Megatron being a Nerf gun as a possible compromise, you might want to know this too cannot be done now either. While that toy is seen as deviating too much from Megatron's original colours, with the G2 inspired purple and green accents instead of black and red accents Megatron traditionally has, something the Henkai Megatron addressed, since 2018, Walmart, Hasbro's largest buyer, has been very strict on toy guns. Even Nerf has become increasingly brightly coloured, more so than even Classics Megatron. Classics Megatron is apparently now also not viable. The second issue with Megatron's original alt mode is the fact that it's a roleplay toy. It's something to play with that doesn't interact with other Transformers toys particularly well. We all know how in the original cartoon, Megatron would be wielded by Starscream. But that's actually a very real problem for a character in this position. This isn't saying roleplay toys are bad, or that roleplay toys don't have a place in Transformers, but it doesn't fit a character of Megatron's station. He's a leader, a commander. He shouldn't need another character to function. The tank solution. In 1986, Megatron would be upgraded to become Galvatron, while his iconic fusion cannon would become Galvatron's particle cannon, Megatron's gun alt mode would be replaced with something less problematic, a futuristic laser cannon on treads. The toy also has a laser pistol mode that was never used in the cartoon. This would evolve in Generation 2, with Megatron taking on his most reoccurring alt mode, a tank. Generation 2, Classics, Universe, Cyber Battalion, Combiner Wars, Titans Returns, Siege, Earthrise, Authentics. While Megatron has had many different alt modes, the tank first seen in 1992 just keeps coming back. Even the general idea of the transformation, where the turret becomes the arms, while the body of the tank becomes Megatron's body and legs, has been a consistent across every single Megatron body. Saying that, we have fallen into a general pattern with what a tank Megatron looks like since 2015, provided the toy was originally designed as Megatron. The toy has the general look of G1 Megatron and a transformation that folds the front treads to the back of the toy to get them out of the way. The thing here is that none of these toys have ever really satisfied. Combiner Wars Megatron is lanky, and his fusion cannon sits in a strange way. It's a nice looking toy by itself, especially the Legends one, but it feels off. It lacks the presence Megatron should have, and the articulation is lacking for a toy of this size. You can tell the toy was designed as a tank first, then backwards into the robot mode. Phenomenal tank, but that's about it. Siege was the first Megatron of the current era, and it's a weird toy in terms of reception. It never had the love at release that Siege Optimus Prime did, but never really garnered any hate either. Nothing spectacular, nothing terrible. Bit of a yellowing issue, but that's more of an issue regarding the materials than the design itself. It's just a very underwhelming toy that doesn't do anything wrong or particularly well. Earthrise Megatron, on the other hand, is an extensive retool of that Siege Megatron to become an Earth tank, and it fails quite spectacularly all around. The head is noticeably worse than Siege, with a very vacant expression, and the kibble is very poorly handled. The front tread backpack is larger, and the tank barrel has the sword from the Japanese G1 Megatron out the back, but he can't wield it like a spear, so it becomes this weird forearm weapon. The toy also parts forms. The whole front of the turret and the tank barrel comes off to become that aforementioned spear forearm weapon, and the back of the tank necessitates another piece to cover robot parts that merges with said weapon. Then you have the tank mode that clearly has the fusion cannon in the middle of the turret, breaking the illusion of this being an Earth tank. Combiner Wars and Earthrise Megatron both serve to bring up a problem with shoving the G1 Megatron robot mode into a tank. The fusion cannon is not the gun barrel, and never was. It's the gun mode scope. When you try to translate that into a realistic tank, you end up with either a lackluster fusion cannon and potentially assorted other problems, or having to do something with the tank barrel while also incorporating the fusion cannon into the design. This isn't working. Today we covered a lot of ground, but we still have a lot of ground and air to cover. Megatron has had many different alt modes in the last 40 years. More so if you include characters named Megatron that aren't G1 Megatron. Maybe those hold the answer to Megatron's alt mode woes, or do the seeds of the future lie buried in the past? So join me next week when we continue looking at Megatron's alt modes, and maybe we will find what is the ideal alt mode for our favourite Emperor of Destruction. Be sure to like and subscribe. Till next time, thanks for watching.